I'm the science. You are to trust me. Come on, just trust me. Follow me. Trust the experts. Trust the experts and put one of these on. Trust the science and put one of these on. Trust the science and put one of these on. Trust the science and let me take a bunch of blood from you because you've been trained to trust the science. Trust the science and bend over for me. No, I'm not crazy. I'm actually making a point that other scientists have actually, I'll get to it in a minute, how it's very much an illusion. This is why it's so much of an illusion, okay? So many people remember the masks missing in 2020. I still have my evidence bag, okay? That I had to carry one of these because we would only get one of these a week. Seriously. It's totally insanity, okay? And of course, we had to carry our thing. Yeah, everybody had to do that. So, it's an illusion. Definition of illusion: an erroneous perception of reality, an erroneous concept or belief, the condition of being deceived by a false perception or belief. So here's how they play the game. I mean, it's because none of us ever question. You have been brought into this world in many ways, not just trusting the science, but the government, that you're free. And I'm going to prove this in a minute. But so during COVID, okay, when everybody was locked down, the fear-mongering began. This was one of the ways was what I showed at the beginning. Mask, double mask, stand 6 feet apart. And people may have remembered seeing this. Some people were watching this all the time, getting tense, getting anxiety. Look at, oh, it's getting close. Oh, it's near us. It's, yeah. 24/7 with the media. So in order to manipulate people the best, you have to terrify them. They did this after 9/11. It's how we lost freedoms, because we were so terrified of what happened on that day. I'm not saying what happened on that day was not true. People at high levels will go to great lengths to cognitively control people, and they use fear to break people down. And then what seems ridiculous now but didn't then, with double masking, that's what tells you. But here's what else tells you, is that there's a reason that the higher educated have been trained to never step outside the box of, I know I only listen to peer review, or I only read peer review. They know best. But how conditioned we've been, at least, but in 2020, a bunch of people woke up and started questioning. And then when you come awake, you're like, wait a minute, science doesn't have a good track record. I mean, in the 60s, children only got 10 of these. In the 80s, they got 22. And by the 2000s, they're getting close to 80 before puberty. That doesn't show a success rate. It doesn't. Now, I'm sure the higher educated would make no, there isn't. There is a time in history before penicillin where most society saw medical doctors as quack jobs. They did, because they would do things like bloodletting and crazy stuff back then. I mean, when I look back in the history of, there's a Thoric hospital in Chicago, okay? It goes back to a Max Thoric. He was a surgeon. There's a whole surgical museum to him. I've mentioned him before in videos. He was a photographer too. It's so interesting that many of the surgeons, I'm not saying all surgeons today, but back in the day, yeah, they like to film their work. You know, like we call surgery suites, we call them, it's theater, yeah. So I'm not saying that none of it, yeah, obviously people go in and have surgery and they come out and they're fine and all. Yeah, of course they have to show some success, but during COVID, when they were, in New York, pulling up that semi ice truck and showing it all over the news, well, it terrified people. Oh, it's filling up with bodies. We got to bring another one in. And all of the stories that they told, they wanted to scare people because they wanted to bring in more science control. And so it's very much an illusion. Do you know for sure what's going on in Israel or Palestine? No, you don't. But you have the Republicans that say we stand with Israel, and even the media that says this, and yet it's like, have they also been controlled? Because they listen to priests and preachers, priests, pastors and preachers who say, no, this is what we're supposed to do. Well, they all went to seminary schools, Synagogue of Satan, to learn about the Bible. But it's not true that we're supposed to disregard our own country and our own people to just go stand with Israel. That's an absolute lie. I don't biblically speaking, it is. I'm not saying we shouldn't support them and not support terrorist organizations. But again, you've been lied to just about freedom. Here's how. The definition of freedom, the condition of not being in prison or captivity. The condition of being free of restraints, especially the ability to act without control or interference by another or circumstances. The condition of not being controlled by another nation or political power, political independence. Well, let's take this number 3. Well, we are controlled by another nation. It seems we're controlled by Israel, and everybody we have in office, I mean, with the exception of the few that support terrorists, Hamas, everybody else puts Israel before this country. Yeah, I don't think God supports that. But for some reason, all the past and priests and pastors have been told or taught, but taught in seminary school that, Israel's covenant comes before ours. No, don't think so. No, I don't think so. I know I'm just a Gentile, right? Okay. But then go up to the top one, the condition of not being in prison or captivity. Well, no, we've been in captivity. We just never really thought about it because we don't think. We've been in a tax captivity. Yeah, you're not really free if they're keeping you captive because they take your money, and that's what they want to do. That's how they've imprisoned. Yet they've told everyone you're free. Now, I think that this country in the beginning, yes, it was free. But I'm saying they've told us this all our life, and we haven't been. Just like all we've been is told these things. And so what happened in 2020 was a bunch of people woke up and realized for the first time that they're thinking on their own. Now, the medical profession will tell you that they think, but I don't think they do. They've been trained the most to only follow peer-reviewed. I mean, there's a reason, isn't there, that they seem to not be able to come out of it the most, but some of them have. Even the science itself has said that it's an illusion. Why some scientists think science is an illusion. It's a useful illusion, they say, but our brains are not really wired to know the facts. Now, I'll do a follow-up video to get into the facts. Why so much science is wrong, false, puffed, or misleading. Science, a word that can describe everything around you, but is it science? A question appears in your mind, what if we never discovered anything? Well, we know we discovered penicillin, and that was by accident, though. Before that, the public saw medical doctors as quack jobs. And this is important because it goes to the power of suggestion, that's how it's done. Because we've never questioned why we have to trust the science when there's not a track record of success, tells you it's been an illusion. And for people that have looked into it, it goes back to the pharmakeia. It goes back to magic, stage illusions, scientific diversions, including trick photography. No different than we don't know what the images coming out of Israel are. Discernment is definitely needed, so the relationship with God is key with that. But, yes, most of it is an illusion. I'll follow this up explaining more.